Okay, we're going to move out of executive session and on to our business agenda. And we do have one action to take based on the executive session, and that's where we will look for a motion to extend a 120-day extension to Mr. Cox for his continuous real estate,
Due diligence
Yeah,
period.
due diligence period.
And authorize the county manager to sign.
and authorize the county manager to sign. So the motion is going to look like offer Mr. Cox 120-day extension for due diligence on the project and authorize the county manager to sign.
Mr. Chair, I would make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to extend to Mr. Cox a 120-day extension for due diligence and authorize the county manager to sign. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next item is the formal categorization of certain county-owned properties, page 217. Aye.
Hi, Shirley and members of the board. The county's property categorizing committee met on November 2nd, and we are bringing to you the recommendations from that group of staff on how to categorize these properties. And without going into each one individually, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer any of those that you may have.
I have just one, Mr. Chair. On page 221, we're looking at parcel 19-02, and it says tax lot 8100. I can't find 8100 on this map. I see 8800, but I don't see 8100. Is it just my eyes, Serpa?
It is. It's the tiny little sliver by it, I believe. Let me see if I can find it better on my...
I see it here. Is it this little bitty box right down in the corner there?
Yep,
Show me. Oh,
So,
literally right
so
there.
we're categorizing 8101,
Little box.
which is a 6.5 feet by 8 feet.
Shows up there.
And it appears that it should go with tax lot 8100, and I believe that's the kind of...
Very small.
I got it.
You got it. Good.
It's this little tiny thing right here. Oh, okay. Serpa, you
You
better
bought 50
enlarge
square-
that map for old
I should
eyes.
have, but then it got so fuzzy that we didn't have it
Okay,
good enough.
thank you. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
50 square feet. Okay.
So do those folks want that back?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm content, because I always read very carefully everything that you send us. And I saw on page 225 for parcel 19-06, that's the one where we took the deed with that accelerated redemption period.
That is correct.
That's really important. Thank you so much for everybody concerned
Yeah.
who was part of that.
I really appreciate your comments in the packet. It's helpful.
Oh, I had one more, sorry. On page 229, tax lot 1800, is that, it says it's mostly outside the wetlands. Is that available for housing in Warrenton?
I would have to check with their planning department.
I just wondered.
And they could be sold individually or all together. It appears that to the east or to the right of 1301 and 1700, there's 1400 and 1600 that they are already using those tax lots as their backyard. So I'm going to approach them and see if they're interested. If they're not, then we,
And being legal.
yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I would move to categorize the properties as presented and authorize the chair to sign the resolution in order.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to categorize the properties as presented and authorize the chair to sign the resolution order. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Serpa.
Thank you.
Oh, and you're up on the next one, too. This is item 8C, page 239, consider offers on county-owned property. May I have the staff report, please?
This is a parcel in the city of Warrenton at 1088 Southeast Main. We got this in tax foreclosure over a year ago, and we put it up for auction. We did not get any offers during the auction. And after the auction, we have gotten several offers. The first one was, if you look at the dates, was from Mr. Burkhart, and that was so small that it did not even meet our policy, so we did not even discuss it. We just sent him a letter to see if he wanted to meet the 80% of the minimum, as it is in our policy after his offer, and he was not interested. Then the city gave us also an offer, and that was 11% of the minimum bid. We also got, then we entertained sealed bids, and we got 2 offers during the sealed bid offer. One for $34,000 cash from Dan Jackson and Brett Polavoid, and then $40,200 offer from North Coast Classic Homes, which meets the 80% of the minimum bid requirement.
So we have that 80%, and it came to 40,200.
Yeah, 200 over the 40,000, which was the
That's-
80%, so.
Not a penny more. So,
Well, that's quite a bit more than the other bids of 12,000.
indeed, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we accept the highest offer of 40,000. I move to adopt the resolution in order and authorize the chair to sign the deed that we accept the offer of 40,200.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt the resolution in order and authorize the chair to sign the deed. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is page 255, the Association of Oregon Counties Road Assessment Program. Kim, I think this is yours?
Yes, I presume that most of you are at least somewhat familiar with this issue. The Association of Oregon Counties had established a road fund for purposes of supporting, county road programs. Those are restricted funds, so they could only be used for road-related purposes. And apparently, earlier this year, the Association of Oregon Counties Board of Directors learned that those funds had been used inappropriately to support other AOC activities. I don't think they're suggesting that any money went in anybody's pocket or anything. So the road funds have been spent down. Those were restricted funds. They need to be replaced. So the Association of Oregon Counties looked at their current dues formula and apportioned a cost to each of the 36 counties to replace those road funds based on how they break out their current dues formula. And we did receive an invoice, I think it's been a couple of weeks ago now, from the Association of Oregon Counties for our portion, Clatsop County's portion, which is $14,104.42. I wasn't comfortable paying that invoice, and so I think you need to make a decision whether that's an invoice that you want us to pay or not.
Mr. Chair, if I could speak to this?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your comments.
Well, as the county manager says, there were no fraud involved with this. There was simply inadequate fiscal controls and spending beyond income in ways that counties received benefit. It was, there were regular audits which did not disclose these, I would call them irregularities. Again, no fraud, but not the right way to do business.
In excuse me, Commissioner, in accountant speak, it would be like there were findings or deficiencies?
They didn't have, I mean, that's why they have all those disclosure limitations
Right.
when they do an audit. So you can't go back and say, hey, why didn't you find that? They say, we did this is the job we're doing.
So they basically, I guess you know about this.
Yeah.
So basically, so I understand it correctly, basically the former director got into the road fund for operational costs?
Did not adequately control what staff did with the money. And so now there are adequate controls in place. There is a sharpened and refined focus, and thanks to our neighboring commissioner, Commissioner Tardif from Columbia County, who's been very active in this and rigorous. So there is a value proposition for AOC, because why should we care?
He's also the AOC treasurer.
Yeah, that's what I said, treasurer AOC. Maybe I didn't say that clearly, thank you. And Kathleen's classmate in County College, right, that too. So there are now adequate controls and staff. There is a finance and audit committee that will meet quarterly. The treasurer, currently Commissioner Tardif, is on that, the first vice president, the past president, someone from OASIS, the county engineers, and some commissioners and a county administrator. So there's also a dues task force chaired by Commissioner Pope from Polk County. So they're looking at all of the things having to do with the costs and the benefits from AOC. The value proposition that was defined was Oregon's 36 counties are connected and strengthened by AOC, which uniquely meets the needs of county leaders by developing and sharing solutions to county issues through advocacy, research, and leadership development. It helps us do our job better. It gives us linkage through relationships. It gives us impact in the legislative process, which is ultimately useful to Clatsop County residents. So I'm comfortable that money will be controlled much more carefully going forward, much more adequately, that this is a one-time expenditure, and fundamentally it pays for value that's been received that was improperly accounted for. So I would recommend passage of this.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Somebody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve payment of the AOC County Road Program invoice in the amount of $14,104.42.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion to second to approve payment at AOC County Road Program invoice in the amount of $14,104.42. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item today is the consideration of a resolution to authorize the sale of general obligation bonds, page 259.
And Monica, can you come up for that one? You've been quiet all night. We got to hear from you.
Yeah, so, okay.
So on November 6th of 2018, the voters passed Measure 4195, authorizing the county to issue up to $20 million of general obligation bonds to finance the remodeling of the Oregon Youth Authority facility, as well as construct a new pod that's going to be more efficient and be able to house up to 148 inmates. The attached resolution and order authorizes the issuance of the general obligation bonds, and it allows for the authorized representative to act on behalf of the county and without further action by the Board of Commissioners in order to issue the bonds and execute the necessary documents required for the bond sale. Please note, while the resolution authorizes the board to have a representative act on behalf of the county, this is only in regards to the sale of the bonds. This bond sale will essentially have our underwriter seeking investors who are interested in buying our bond, and it will be necessary that day for county staff to be available once we have selected a single price to sign a purchase agreement. I've provided for the board, separate from your packet, as well as copies for the public, a summary outline of the next step processes that will take place in regards to the sale of the bonds, in addition to the initial steps necessary for the construction process to begin. Questions?
Mr. Chair, I had some questions.
Sure.
Thanks for your good work on this. I appreciate the fact sheet. I'm looking at page 264, which talks about the ad valorem tax rate. And so thinking about the Board of Property Tax Appeals and its relationship to that, I am heartened to know that our good work will foster services within this county. I see the authorized uses of the proceeds of the bonds. I also see on page 267, under use of the proceeds, that the Director of Budget and Finance will monitor expenditure of bond proceeds and permit expenditures only as permitted in the authorizing documents and under federal tax law. If any proceeds remain following completion of the project, the Director of Budget and Finance will, in consultation with bond counsel, direct the use of remaining proceeds in accordance with the authorizing documents or to the redemption or defeasance of outstanding bonds. I wonder, is this an appropriate delegation to the Board of, by the Board of County Commissioners, and will someone in this role be reporting to us about this?
Oh, most definitely. We'll be keeping you posted on on how the funds are being used.
Okay, so I had a couple more questions. On page 269, item F, exceptions to the general rebate requirements. The small issuer exception applies if the total principal amount of tax-exempt governmental obligations of the issuer issued by or on behalf of the blah, 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 will not be greater than $5 million plus such additional amount not in excess of $10 million as is to be spent for the construction of public school facilities. I don't understand that. Can you help me understand that?
I can. It looks as though our bond counsel has an error in the...
Cut and paste? Okay, fine. Well, good. Thank you. I'm happy to
Would
hear
that be
that.
considered a Scribner's error?
Scribner's error, yeah. Okay, so then on page 271, I'm looking at all of the things that the Director of Budget and Finance will track, 271 and 272. So again, will these be reported to the board on a regular basis? Because these seem to be perhaps nitpicky, but this is a lot of money, $20 million, that's a lot of money. And I'm eager to be kept abreast of any issues that arise, and it seems like this is a kind of a punch list of issues that might arise.
So essentially, I mean, the board is going to be aware of when we are looking to spend down those dollars. So for instance, today we were working on drafting the RFQ to go out for a owner representative project manager. So once we go out for that RFQ, we would bring back those applicants and the board would be deciding, we would bring forward a contract. Each time we're going to be bringing forward something after an RFQ process, those things would be coming before the board. So those expenditures are going to be getting approved by the board. As far as payments, those are going to be budgeted items. And so again, those are going to be approved by the board through the budget process. And then throughout, the audited financial process, you guys will be updated on things. And then there's also what it's referring to in the Emma reporting. Once we have our audited financials, we have to upload information into Emma, and that's an annual thing that we have a due diligence to do.
And I'm also, we talked about, in the audit earlier this year, we talked about basically looking at results. So I'm hoping outcomes. We talked about outcomes, and staff is looking at outcomes, and I thought, well, maybe this would be a way that we could look at outcomes, like to not just the numbers, but the progress of the project in the material world. And so that's being invented as we go along, I understand that, but I wondered if this were a good place to start looking at reporting outcome measures.
The outcome measures would be a result of the budget process, not the audit process.
Well, whatever it is, we're spending $20 million. I'd like to know what difference it's making in the material world, not just the budgeted numbers. So whatever you can do to facilitate that, I'd be grateful. Thank you. Those were the questions I had.
Chair Lee,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion.
Just a minute, I'm sorry. I don't know if this is, I just wanted to thank you, Monica, for the jail bonds next step, and I would like to have this included in the minutes along with this discussion, and perhaps we can have it also on the web page.
Yes, I've spoken to Tom Bennett about getting it posted tomorrow, and then there's also copies over on the table over there for anybody who would like to take one as well.
Okay, appreciate you doing this, thank you.
Chair Lee, I move that the board adopt the resolution in order approving the issuance and sale of $20 million in general obligation debt. Second.
We have a motion and a second that the board adopt the resolution order approving the issuance and sale of $20 million in general obligation debt. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Well, that was nice to get that done.
Yeah.
Okay, finally tonight, we're going to adopt the proposed fee, well, we might. We have an item to adopt proposed fee schedule to be implemented January 1st, 2019. Monica, may I have the staff report, please?
As a result of the board amendments made tonight to ordinance 18-09, it's necessary to make an adjustment to the existing fee schedule to collect fees for the short-term rental application process. The total additional fee breakdown and the distribution of those funds to the various departments providing those services are as follows: $125 reinspection fee, $50 ownership transfer only, $300 ownership transfer reinspection, and $100 county notification of surrounding property owners. The fees are all distributed among applicable departments who are doing the work. Pursuant to ORS 294.160, it's now necessary that the board accept public comment from interested persons on the proposed fee schedule.
Okay.
Don't you read a speech now?
Do I need a what?
You need to ask for public comment.
Oh, I didn't see, I was,
Sorry.
public comment. Is there any public comment to speak to the proposed fee schedule? Seeing no, we have no public comment, would look for a motion to adopt the proposed fee schedule.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board adopt the proposed fee schedule to be implemented effective January 1st, 2019, as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to the board adopt the proposed fee schedule to be implemented effective January 1st, 2019, as presented. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, well, that concludes our business agenda, and now we move on to Commissioner's report. Commissioner Thompson.
Hang on. Because we were gone for a long time. You know that the Association of Oregon Counties had its annual conference Tuesday, November 13th. I was a mentor commissioner because that's part of what happens in the establishment of relationships among counties. So I'm a mentor to Commissioner-elect Mary Faith Bell down in Tillamook County. It was a chance to meet the new commissioners, to speak to them, because there was a new commissioner orientation on Tuesday. So the idea is, how does Clatsop County benefit from AOC? And one of the ways we benefit is by being present, being at the table, being part of the negotiations, being part of building the relationships and gaining access to resources. So in short, how do we bring home the bacon? Well, I've got copies of the agenda if somebody wants to see it. One of the things, one of the programs I went to was where Commissioner Margaret Salazar, who's Director of Oregon Housing and Community Services, talked about the statewide housing plan that is up on the website now. I brought back summaries of the statewide housing plan. If anybody wants some, I've got those. There's a meeting in Newport tomorrow, so I'll be going to that meeting in Newport tomorrow. Representative Alyssa Kenny-Geyer is chair of the House Committee on Human Services and Housing, continuing to work with them to advocate for housing in rural Oregon, especially in Clatsop County. I have people who say they're interested in building modular housing in Clatsop County, building tiny homes. I continue to work with them to encourage them in that regard. The governor got excited when she heard it and said, look, housing and jobs. Yes, housing and jobs, community tax bases, hooray for that. I also have the principles for the AOC positions on cap and trade legislation that's coming in the next session. I've been told that it is a cash grab to take money from rural Oregon, and we'll see what happens, doing what we can in order to keep it fair and keep it so that it benefits us and doesn't just cost us. there was a presentation on the Oregon Department of Forestry fire history. This is sobering. It's not like California. The Oregon Emergency Management Association had a report on the wildfires in California, the 2,200 to 2,700 degree temperatures that vaporized valves and meters on water systems, so that the whole water systems had to be replaced because the pipes were contaminated. What we're trying to do is avoid that in Oregon. So I have handouts on that as well. I went to a presentation on the Endangered Species Act, because we don't have them here yet, but if we have them, I want to be ready. Pacific Power, different topic. Pacific Power had a planned power outage for 3 nights. I supported their replacing the equipment ahead of time. I got to tell you, when that power was off, it was like 2007 all over again. I have PTSD about power loss, but thank you to Pacific Power for upgrading their equipment. Clatsop Soil and Water. Commissioner Sullivan came to the annual meeting. We have a potluck because what we're talking about is the Soil and Water Conservation District. And again, those are the folks that do weed control in Clatsop County, invasive species. All we're spending on support for them is $6,000 a year. And what I see is more and more invasive species are gaining ground here. So I'd like us to consider during our budget process, what are the needs of the Soil and Water District to more adequately address invasive species. I'd like the record to reflect that, please. Thank you. Behavioral health adjustment, reinvestment in Oregon, Oregon Community Foundation. All right. I went to the 16th Annual Oregon Leadership Summit. I have lots of material from that, lots of material from that. That, again, is a time when business leaders, non-governmental entities, charities, that sort of thing, government, all come together to talk about where Oregon is headed and how do we get there. Again and again and again, I hear about the unfunded actuarial liability in PERS. So going forward in the future, I'd like us to get briefings on that because I see that as a significant consideration in how we're going to be able to pay for services as we go forward. I went to the Housing Stability Council meeting, and again, that's how the governor implements support for housing starts in rural Oregon. That's why I'm going to the meeting down in Newport on Thursday, tomorrow. I went to an elected officials meeting in a different county because I wanted to see how do different counties manage the elected officials getting together. I'd like us to think about doing that. Finally, I saw in the Daily Astorian, Friday, December 7th, an article about the governor's budget for the rural part of Oregon. Some advocates, and I'm just going to quote a few things, bless you. Some advocates and lawmakers worry about other parts of her budget that cut fire protection on forest land, hold steady money for community colleges, and increase taxes by $2 billion. $2 billion. So we don't have enough money in times of unprecedented growth. We need $2 million more, and PERS is a part of that. She's trying to get more affordable housing built across the state. A front and center environmental concern in many rural areas is smoke. Come summer, gray skies and ash afflict rural parts of the state where wildland fires are more common, and local residents and lawmakers have clamored for a change to forest management policies to address smoke issues. So there are public health concerns, there are economic concerns, and we'll be looking at all of those going forward. You're going to talk about the training for elected officials, or do you want me to?
No, go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything about that.
Hang on. There was a senior officials workshop for all hazards preparedness on November 27th. It was it was sobering. What is the role of this body as well as the role of appointed public officials during all hazards? So I attended the workshop. I communicated with the FEMA trainer afterward. This is a big concern for us because nobody's going to be totally adequately prepared, but whatever we can do to be more ready is a good thing. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson, did you misspeak when you said we don't have endangered species here in the county? Did I hear that wrong?
I was thinking of four-leggeds, not fish.
Well, there's also the ones that fly, like the
I was thinking,
marble
yeah, sorry. No,
Okay.
no two-leggeds, no fish, only four-leggeds I was thinking of. I was thinking,
okay.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me.
I just didn't think I had heard that right, so.
I said it, but I didn't mean it, okay? Sometimes I make mistakes. Thank you.
I will be attending, I'm going to Longview tomorrow after work. There's going to be a public hearing concerning the Clama methanol plant that they want to build there to use fracked gas. And as this county knows, it's something to be looked at closely and critically. And again, it's a public meeting. I don't know how to, I'll be going. Public comments will be accepted through December 28th, 2018. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody about it. It's also potentially, there's a potential site in Columbia County. There's a lot of concern about this. I don't feel comfortable supporting something like that. Other than that, I went to the ALC conference, and I think one of the valuable things about the ALC conference is to get together with other people that are doing the jobs that we're doing. And so that was helpful to connect and to feel some solidarity there, because I think that public service is not easy. I've been doing this for 2 years as an elected official. I have found it to be challenging, but I think it's a very necessary thing. I wouldn't be putting my heart and soul into this if I didn't feel how important it was. And I just wanted to thank Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Clement for the time that they put in and the service that they did. And I'd also like to thank County Manager Cameron Moore, because even though he's not elected, he's in with the public work just like we all are. And that includes all of our staff that come to all these meetings. We are all rowing the boat towards, trying to keep our democracy together and our tax dollars wisely spent and our citizens' needs taken care of. And I just feel gratitude to be among people that are working towards that. I just think it's vital. So, and with that, I wish everybody a happy next adventure. Those of you that won't be with us the next meeting, and also everybody to have a good holiday season, safe and relaxing holiday season. So, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Neviger.
Okay, I too attended AOC and many of the sessions. I found that this year's offerings were improved over last year personally. I also attended the all-day Homeland Security disaster preparation workshop for all hazards. And I see that our county has improved our preparations greatly since the 2007 storm. But we have far to go, and we have a small county population. We have great staff, but little resources to meet the needs for sufficient preparation for a disaster. I am very aware of how much our staff has done with very little. I think they have done an excellent job. It would be easy to be discouraged, but when I see how far we've come, I am hopeful that we can continue refining and preparing our populations. Let's see. I went to, let's see, Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting, and Matt Phillips was nominated for and chosen for the state's best jail commander, and Lieutenant Kristen Hanthorne was awarded the Director of the Year award. And Tracy, and I don't remember her last name, Huber? Hubler, thank you, was awarded the Sergeant of the Year. And to quote Cindy Matthias, Clatsop County rocks. The sequential intercept mapping, for those of you that attended that, some time ago, SIMS is continuing to be developed under PSCC. And as far as organizing how best to implement it, we're thinking that GOBE, Greater Oregon Behavioral Health, may need to be involved. There was a discussion about the mobile crisis response. And someone who visited Iowa and saw how they handled this, they had great suggestions. They have a population of well over 600,000 in this particular area, so they have more funding. And their data shows that there are substantial savings with early interventions. But it seems that with SIMS being implemented, we're already showing similar benefits, so that's very encouraging. Housing continues to be a big barrier, though, as we already know. It's not just our region. Let's see. Oh, CBH has a recovery ally that is proving to be highly successful, so there will be 2 recovery allies soon. The respite center is going well and is well staffed. However, I learned recently, outside of the meeting, the PSCC meeting, that the Warrenton police are being called an awful lot to the respite center. So I'm not sure how that's going to be resolved, but I don't think Warrenton's very happy about that. Okay, let's see. Oh, I also attended the Liberty Theater Gala fundraiser. Betsy Johnson was there, helped with the auction items, so it was very entertaining. The highest item went for $10,000. That was a private house party donated by Blind Pilot. Approximately $300,000 was raised for the arts at the Liberty Theater. I think that's a record. I think that's a record in our county. I feel really good about it because it shows, it's confirmation how important the arts are here in our county, which creates a higher level of livability. So the money will support and multiply with future grants based on this large amount. Their goals are to expand the stage in order to have larger productions and expand the backstage area for the performers, which is sorely needed, and a new curtain, which is held together with pins. It's the original one. So it's amazing it's lasted even this long. And I think this money will make those goals achievable. I want to thank our county manager. I have really appreciated being on the board under your managerial style and how you have worked with staff. I've appreciated your communication style and abilities. You have helped us achieve many of our goals and put us on the path to achieve more. And I am sorry to see you go. Thank you.
All good things come to an end.
Commissioner Clement?
Go back to my ending, to my beginning, since you just said exactly what I was going to say. So I second Commissioner Nevaker's statement about County Manager Moore, and I think that we're very lucky to have him as long as we did, and the staff in particular. And I'm also grateful for this experience over the past few years. I hope the board continues to have the confidence in the county staff that seems to be, in my opinion, particularly skilled and talented right now in their areas. And I think we're just in good hands, which makes our job a lot easier. Back to a little business, the approved applicants for the Columbia River Transition Program have received their money, thanks in huge part to county staff and County Manager Moore, I think Monica as well, for their follow-through and really staying on top of that follow-through, I think, was really important. This was something that was not really even known about, and County Manager Moore found the money. So it's comes at an extremely difficult financial time for most of those applicants, and it's I've seen maybe 20 of them, and it's a huge bright light. It takes a little bit of pressure off, and you can feel it in their demeanor and how they are, they have a little bit of a spring in their step. So very, very grateful. I think that is and I mean, if you only did that while you were here, I think that would be just like front page worthy. It's a big deal. Nobody remembers them, and they forget about them. And they have a little extra money in their pocket that they've lost over so long. So I'm very, very grateful, and I know they are too. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is the last, my final moment here. I would like to thank Cam for the last couple years. I've really enjoyed working with him. I've really enjoyed working with staff over the last 8 years. This is a wonderful county. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to have been a part of this board and to work with so many wonderful people. And I'm really looking forward to some new things. And this has been it's a bookend, a beginning and an ending. And I'm really, it's been one of the neatest things I've ever done. And like I said earlier, it's been one of the most difficult, most rewarding jobs I've ever had. And so I leave here tonight that I feel that the state of Clatsop County is good, and county's onward and upward. And so thanks again. I only have one business item. The Northwest Oregon Housing Authority, you may have saw in the paper, we went through a little tough spot with some accusations, and those have been cleared up. But unfortunately, there's one and a half small little problems with NOAA still. We have the $925,000 trust fund. It's basically, we're in the final negotiation with the bank to have Clatsop Shores re-collateralized or re-mortgaged to not be a part of that trust fund. So one of the first things that have to happen with the person that becomes the next NOAA liaison is they'll need to really work with Mr. Johnson to get a handle on the trust fund. According to the trust fund's rules of the settlement, there needs to be an oversight from this board and the county. And the way we envision that is that there'd be 2 members of the Board of Commissioners and perhaps the future county manager. And so that's something that the next board is going to have to tackle. There's no problems there. It's basically the bank has just taken their time. And so my expectation is that's going to even out. But I just wanted to make that alert that is an area that's going to need to have a little work early on for the next liaison to NOAA. Other than that, that's all I have. And thank you very much.
I have a question.
Sure.
So why now 2 board members? Has it always been that and we just
It says
didn't
there's
know?
supposed to be 3 people from the county. You may want to clarify this with Mr. Johnson from NOAA. I think there's 3 people from the county, so it makes sense to me that we would have, obviously we can't have 3 commissioners. So my thought was we'd have 2 commissioners and a staff member. And that would be the oversight for the trust fund.
Do we have a, like maybe a one-page summary or something of kind of where we're at, what we have to look out for?
Yeah, I think that, the staff will put together the liaison appointments that need to be filled, and
But I mean, but what, like what you just said about the bank is a little bit slow. I mean, just to,
well, that's exactly right. Well, obviously, the executive director of NOAA would be able to, the person that would fill in the new liaison to the specifics of any of their duties to their assignment. You could always call me if you have any questions on
Okay,
any of those
thank you.
assignments.
Did we have unfinished business for our agenda? Because I see,
No, we didn't have any unfinished business because we are not going to be able to get that on the agenda tonight. There's going to have to be staff work done on that. There's a lot of questions that commissioners have.
Okay.
And so that's why that item is going to have to wait. And that's all I have. County Manager Moore?
I don't have anything.
All right. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The meeting's adjourned.